You're on in 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Well, it's a few days after whiskey now. Kaitlyn and I are in Flagstaff out for a recovery ride.
We decided to go higher for our recovery.
Following the cool weather. Yeah. So attempting the easy recovery ride at 7,000 feet in Flagstaff. Pondering about the race weekend and race thoughts. Kind of bring you some of those. Esophagus like burns.
That was actually really cool.
Where was I?
Like the lap before you got pulled, I feel like you were 10 seconds off them.
No way. Like the front?
I could be wrong. Maybe 15.
Maybe the second group.
I don't know, dude. Everyone was like tight in there.
I felt so good on this climb. Every
real
time
good.
I was just smashing. And then like the turns on the backside, terrible. I couldn't see. Like literally you're trying to like hit this thing and the sun is like right in your eyes. Like I don't know,
so
dry air or something, yeah. But like if I could have like kept the speed in the turns and not like open gaps every lap, and there was there a crash like out of the start?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I think it was more of a pile up than a crash, but
yeah, I kind of got held up there a little bit. So not bad.
Not bad.
320 normalized. I can't drink on the YouTube. Family friendly. Ryan was standing there. I had to take it.
Nice.
Felt pretty good about the crit, as you probably saw in the video. Would have liked to do a little bit better, as always, but know what to expect next year, and it was fun. Definitely fun. Would do again for sure. So yeah, only real takeaway from the Fat Tire crit is pretty well acclimated. Elevation after being there for almost 3 weeks, and I had a little too much tire pressure. Rear end was kind of getting a little sputtery in the turns. It was really hard to find the limit on those tires. Just being on the mountain bike, you can't feel anything. Saturday's prep was a little less than ideal. Watching the dogs and trying to take care of everything in the sun for the hot part of the day, which also less than ideal. Keep it up. All things considered, I don't think it had much of an effect on Sunday's race. Did all my prep right, preloaded on sodium, prevent those cramps, ate pretty good, got good sleep, you know, did all the right things. Onto the backcountry race on Sunday.
We're 3 minutes till start. Minor difficulty. Storm looking good here at the front row.
So like I said earlier, I was about as prepared as I could have been for this race.
Look out there, guys. Last year's winning time, 3 hours, 15 minutes and change. And our lead man on course, our 18th annual Whiskey Off-Road, the 2023 version. They are out of here. We will see them.
We had been staying in Prescott for about 3 weeks when race day came around. So I was about as acclimated as I could have been to the altitude, had everything dialed, the bike was ready to go, put a 32 tooth chainring on the front just for the longer climbs. I knew that I could have pushed the 36, but I would have been in the smallest gear, the 50 tooth in the rear, and I knew that the chain line efficiency on that would not have been as good. So I knew that if I went with the smaller ring, I wouldn't really be at a loss on too many of the downhills. They just weren't super pedally, be much more efficient on the climbs with the smaller front ring. Got the tire pressure and the suspension setup dialed. Nutrition was, spot on from my mistakes previously this year, learning from the cramps and getting the sodium and carbs straight. So my crew in the feed zones were just incredible. Kaitlyn and Melissa and Dan just taking care of me, so that was pretty sweet. During the race, I had consumed about 400 grams of carbs in the 4 hours, had like 5,500 milligrams of sodium, and that was a combination of precision hydration, Martin drink mix, and a few Cliff blocks. Really wasn't a fan of those, so didn't take too many of that. Picked up a Never Second gel in one of the feed zones, and that was pretty killer. And then some solid foods like a Cliff bar and a fig bar to kind of round it out. A lot of liquids. I think it was like 4,000 milliliters of fluids total. Just pounding. I think that was close to 8 bottles, something like that. In 4 hours is a ton, but I needed every bit of it, and I probably could have done with another one or two.
Go, Blane! Yeah, Blane! Woo!
Really the only thing I wasn't prepared for was the heat. It was the hottest day that I had seen this year. The temperature was like in the high 70s, but the real feel on the Garmin when I was like on that long climb, completely exposed, it was like mid 90s, like 95. I mean, it was hot. It was hot. So that altitude, dumping water on my head, and going through creek crossings and purposefully trying to make a big splash, using that cold water to cool me off a little bit. Picked up an ice sock from one of our buddies that we met in Tucson. All those things together, pretty happy with the performance. Yeah, I wanted to be sub 4 hours, but the course was pretty significantly different from last year. Everybody was slower. The winning time was 5 or so minutes slower.
Swenson, ladies and gentlemen, Keegan Swenson.
The guys that had done it last year that were sub 4 were just barely sub 4 again. 4:05, 4:06 was my finish time. Pretty happy with that. Ended up 36th out of almost 60 guys in the pro field.
Yeah!
First year here, definitely learned a lot. Left it all out there for sure. I could not have done any more. I did cramp a little bit. Somewhere halfway through on the descent, a rock kicked my rear wheel and it threw the saddle into the side of my right thigh. And that spot, like, wanted to cramp pretty much the rest of the day, the next like hour and a half. So I was battling that. I was using the saddle to like massage the spot when I was like at a spot to rest. I took my mustard packet. I was pounding everything I had to keep it at bay, and it really only started to go like twice. But on the climbs there at the end, it was definitely limiting me. I was having to ease into the effort, starting at like 180, 200. But by the time I got to the end of the climb, I was back to where I wanted to be at 250, 280, which I was super impressed with for being at elevation that far, 3-4 hours into the race. The guy I was with, I was catching back up to him every time. So, and I don't even know if that was a cramp. Maybe it was just like a muscle spasm from the hard impact. So who knows? Good day out overall. No flats, no issues, no bike problems, mechanicals. Everything was just solid. I mean, this bike is just a machine. I really paced it well all day too with that long climb. It was about a little over 35 minutes was the total length of the big climb for me in the middle there. I wanted to do a little more power, but ended up averaging like 220 for that. 6,500 feet, 95-degree heat. I guess I can't complain too much, but that was all I could have had without putting myself over the edge with still half the race to go. First climb, I definitely gave a little bit of extra trying to stay with that group. I knew there were some spots, some little bits of downhill for drafting that were going to be important, so really went in there, and I almost set a 20-minute power record for myself on the mountain bike at 6,500 feet, so that's pretty cool. Definitely looking forward to going back to sea level here in a few weeks, flying back to Virginia, back on the UCI XCO racing here, coming up to this next race block. So we'll be in Virginia racing the Danville UCI race. I think it's Return to the Ridge, something like that. Anglers Ridge is the name of the park that it's at. Raced there a couple times before, really like the course. Have done well there previously, but it'll be a bigger field this year. So looking forward to seeing how this altitude training camp has gone and what kind of fitness I've gained from just extra time on the bike this year, and how that'll translate into some more XC racing. Coming up in a week here or so, releasing a video about our time at altitude. So just kind of some of the workouts we've been doing at elevation, how we're fueling for these different things, what our weeks look like. That'll be fun. Always cool sharing race numbers, training numbers, how we're getting it done, what's working, what's not. Hopefully you guys are learning from our mistakes and applying it to your own. Again, if any of you are looking for some coaching or race help, nutrition, anything like that, Kaitlyn and I are ignition coaches, so reach out to us. We'll get linked up and get you guys on a training plan and just get you dialed in for whatever races we got coming up. I know that our athletes have been killing it this year so far. Everybody's having a a good season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let us know if you'd like to hear any more about the race or any other details about how we're bringing it together on race day. See you guys